Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. As mentioned in my community post, I wasn't well at the weekend. I had a bad endometriosis flare, and yeah, I was not very well at all on Sunday when I wanted to film and upload this video. So it had to be put off a couple of days until I was feeling much better. I am now, thankfully. So yeah, I am here to talk about the book that I've been reading. Over the past couple of weeks, it's been a couple of weeks since you saw me, I got over my cold, which was great, and then a big heat wave happened and we were in like 30 degrees for a week. So yeah, I'm very glad that has now passed and we are much cooler. Saying that, I'm quite warm at the moment, so I'm kind of conscious that my cheeks might be a bit rosy as I film this, but you know, we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, significantly cooler now, which is lovely. So yes, well, I got over a cold, then had to deal with a heat wave, and then when the heat wave is calming down, I then had a flare of my endometriosis. So yeah, perfect series of events, huh? I also, over the 2-week period, got into diamond painting, which I just thought I'd have a go at doing, and I really like it, and it's really making me focus and such. And but the thing about it is that it's so focusing. Well, one, you don't realize how much time passes, and two, you can't do anything else. You can't, like, because like my sister's really gotten into watching The Fall, and she's like, Becky, you have to watch it. And I'm like, yeah, well, but and she said, oh, watch it while you're doing your diamond painting. And I'm like, no, it's physically impossible to do, but you have to be looking down at your canvas the whole time to be able, you cannot focus on anything else. So yeah, so that was you know, it's been quite fun. I've completed one and I've started another, so yeah, I've enjoyed doing that as well. And very excitingly, exactly 2 weeks today, we get the new Cormoran Strike book. Oh my god, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's, this time has just flown by. And then 2 weeks after that, I take my holiday to York. So yay, lots of stuff going on over the next 4 weeks. So, and sorry if you can hear buzzing, my laptop's just decided to go really loud all of a sudden. Yay. But anyway, enough about all that. Let's talk about the book that I have been reading recently, which is Mrs. England by Stacey Halls. Now, Stacey Halls is a writer who's published a few books now, and so she isn't new to the literary world. She is an international bestseller, and this is the first book of hers I have read, so I was a bit like, okay, I'm going into this, even though it's the first book I've read of hers, I'm going into this, you know, seeing how it goes with a new author, but I'm not going to give her credit for things where you can't, you know, put things by because it's a debut novel, you know, that kind of thing. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be ultra critical of this book. And I have to say, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It had its merits, but at the same time, it was not well written. So first thing, I figured out the ending. Oh, you know, what the mystery, should I say, was, rather than everything that happens in the end, because there's lots of things that happen in the end. But I'm not, obviously, spoilers, not going to mention exactly what they are explicitly. But I figured out the mystery less than 100 pages into a 400-page book. And I had to wait until about page 350 for my prediction to be validated. So I had to go a long time, me thinking, it's that, it's right there, that's obvious, it's there, open your eyes, girl, it's there. And it's just, that was a long time to wait. I just realised I haven't actually said what the story is about, sorry. So it's set in 1904, and a woman called Ruby is a children's nurse, the child mind, you know, that kind of thing. And she works with a family. She has for like about a year. She absolutely loves them. She looks after their little girl, and they're about to have a second baby, and then they announce that they're moving to Chicago. And it usually happened in the 1900s, early 1900s, that child maids would move with the family. Of course, they would, everything. But Ruby doesn't want to. She says she's got, her siblings, she's got family commitments, she cannot possibly move. And she's already kind of annoyed the academy who she learned her trade through and who sort out her employment. She's already annoyed them once before, and she's basically been told, if the next post doesn't work, you're out. We're not going to be working with you anymore. So she's like, okay. So there's various different advertisements, and she decides to go for one in West Yorkshire for the England family. And the people at the academy are very much like, it's not a good advertisement. It won't be suitable for people from this academy. And she's like, no, I want to take it. So she goes off to West Yorkshire to work for the England family, who are a husband and wife and 4 kids. And the kids range from being about 8 years old to being a baby, less than a year old. And the husband is a mill owner. He's a businessman. He's very well respected. He's on various boards in the area. Everybody knows them. Very well respected. Mrs. England, however, is a very interesting woman. She keeps to her room. She doesn't interact with the children. She's very kind of quiet, keeps to herself. She only gets seen outside the house on, certain occasions, like going to church every Sunday, that kind of thing, social events that she's forced to, go to be on the arm of her husband, etc. She's there, but she's not there. And there are particular rules in this house, including that the nursery has to be locked from the inside every night to prevent anyone getting in. The Mr. England does things that usually the woman of the house would do in regards to deciding the children's food, their routines, their day trips, all of that lot. And he also is very unconventional. He plays with the children a lot. He very much he's the person in contact about the household. Only all of the servants, should I say, are female. There are no male, like butlers, footmen, none of that. So he deals with all the carriage, with the carriage and everything. He's a very practical man. But Mrs. England is this strange, almost ghostly figure in the house, and it's all about this family and what is actually going on, and Ruby trying to figure out, as well as us unraveling her past to understand why she cannot leave the country, why she has to support her siblings, her family, etc. So that's the premise of the book. So it kind of felt like, okay, so we're trying to do like a ghostly gothic thing from the description. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm into this. I'm hoping it'll be more like I don't want to compare to other authors, but I was kind of hoping, okay, are we going to get like a Susan Hill kind of thing? Are we going to get Laura Purcell kind of? Is this where we're going? Even Kate Morton-esque? And unfortunately, it felt like Stacey was trying to do that, but she didn't succeed. She is an author who she wants to tell you about every little thing in a room, describe every little detail about every little thing, things that you will never see again, refer to again, will have no impact on the story whatsoever down the line. She wants to tell you about that rather than, talking about, in Gothic novels, especially Laura Purcell, C.J. Cook, sorry, I forgot to mention before, could Stacey be like a C.J. Cook as well, or Susan Hill? the weight of like the air and the staleness or the wetness in some cases, because Laura Purcell wrote a really interesting book, the first book of hers I ever read, which was all to do about there was a lot of description of moisture in the air, and you could feel it. It was the intoxicating kind of language that she used. Stacey doesn't do that. The air felt very dry. The air felt very normal. It just kind of... This book basically told you 30 days, because it's set over the course of... the whole book is set over 2 months. The bulk of it, the 300 and, let's say, about 80 to 400 pages, is all set in a month, and then we have a 3-week time jump, and then we have a few chapters after that. So it's set across 2 months, but the bulk of it is in 1 month. And pretty much this entire book is just every single day what happens in this house, which you can understand because, you know, we're trying to unravel things. But then at the same time, it just kind of felt like, okay, so she's going to wake up at that certain time. She's going to go down to the kitchen. She's going to talk to Blaze. She's going to clean the nursery. She's going to sort out the breakfast. You know, it just kind of, okay, we're doing this routine again. I just kind of felt like at times I just wanted to scream, get on with it. And I think the fact that I had figured it out so early, that's what irked me. Even that made me focus so much more on the routine and the things that I felt like we don't necessarily need to know this. Why are we doing this? And even like characters whose links to the family, I'm trying to think of very, you know, way of phrasing it without spoiling, that I didn't figure out for the, you know, their particular story to the end of the book. When I found out their thing, I was just like, that's it. That's what it is. It was completely underwhelming. So it was written poorly because I just felt like it wasn't immersive whatsoever. We're basically just following routines for a month, figured out the ending very quickly. It was completely underwhelming. And then when we had the big ending, again, I'm not going to reveal what the big ending was, you know, because of spoilers and everything. I actually read a bit out to my sister Laura and our bestie Sarah. Hey, Sarah. About a brush. If you know the book, you know what I'm talking about. And I was just a bit like, what were brushes made of in the 1900s? Because no. No. And the replies that they sent back was like, yeah, a brush wouldn't do shit. Just it would not do that. And I was like, yes, validated. It was like they hadn't even read the book. I just read the one bit where a brush was involved, and they're like, yeah, that would not do that. I was like, there you go. If someone who hasn't read the book whatsoever feels the same way as I do after I've gone through 400 pages, I think that kind of says something. And as I said, you know, that thing that I was being critical because this isn't her first book. She is an international bestseller and such, so she knows how to write a book, she knows how to construct it, etc. But I had this feeling that perhaps this is her writing style, and so every time I come across one of her stories, I'm going to be underwhelmed. And actually, I have another one of her stories, The Familiars, which is her first book, I believe, because my mum gave me her copy because she hated it so much and she wanted me to have it and see how I go with it. So, yeah. I kind of need to reveal a little bit of information here. So I'm going to try and say it as cryptically as I can, but I might have to reveal a bit of spoiler. So just so you're aware. There is a theme in this book that gets revealed near the end of the book, as you know, the thing that I mentioned, that I figured out very quickly, which I don't think Stacey has necessarily written well. There have been multiple books that I have read which cover the same subject, and there are multiple other things, including TV programs, soaps, you know, The Archers that I love to listen to on BBC Radio 4, who have done this same thing, and they have done it so much better. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, it was shit, because it wasn't what Stacey had written, but I think there is a fine line between doing it subtly, doing it realistically, and doing it in a way that it is so completely obvious that what is the point of you doing it? What is the point of making this the mystery when I figured it out straight away? And it was that latter one that I was really feeling, because it's like it's too squeaky clean. What I think would have been better is if there was a lot more humorizing of character. I think it was the characterization that really made the mystery stand out so much for me. And what I mean by that is that, okay, I'm kind of have to reveal something. I'm not going to say explicitly, but I'm going to say a character, Mr. England. So, Mr. England, as I said, you know, he's not a conventional man, but he is, you know, he's a businessman of a certain time, etc. It kind of felt like if he is a businessman, a mill owner in the 1900s, and he feels that he has such responsibility for the people in the village and, you know, all that lot, I'd expect him to also have that kind of business air to him throughout the book, where it kind of felt like he was too, I'm different, I'm a family man, I'm going to play with my children, I'm going to, you know, make sure they're cared for, etc., because, you know, my wife is ill and such. Which you can understand, you know, if your wife is ill and that you want to make sure your household is fine. But at the same time, he is a businessman of a certain class in the 1900s, and there is like, you've got to have a sense of balance here. Because he wasn't quite balanced, it made it glaringly obvious, or at least it did to me. Also, I think if he was better characterized, then it would have made the situation so much more interesting. For example, it's a little, well, not a little thing for me, but it was something that made it so glaringly obvious, his mustache. If the first thing you talk about, that you focus on a character in a period piece, a male character, is their mustache, you know that there's something up here. You know it is, because for men, it was, it was a thing of, it showed off basically. It showed off things such as status, the fact that how kept you are, you know, kind of, it was like, man, he can show his power through his facial hair, which sounds crazy, I know, but it's true. It was true at that time. And if that's the thing that you're focusing on as your first thing when you see them, you know that there's something behind that. You know that there's something off. It kind of felt like if you had things where here's a family man, I expected to have things kind of like, I know this is a bit of a weird comparison, Alex in Sanditon. I expect him to be able to have these various conversations with Ruby, just as Alex does with Charlotte in Sanditon, because it's important to her job. And then he kind of did, and then he did some weird shit, and I was like, get the fuck out of that house, girl. No matter how many times I was screaming, get out of that house, she didn't budge. And I was like, you're going to listen to him say things like that? I just, oh, no. And the more weird shit that got said, and especially this shit got said very early on in the book, the more it made it glaringly obvious what the mystery was. And I was like, how are you not figuring this out? How? It just, the more I read it, the more it annoyed me. And even the ending, when there's a storm going on and stuff, it's like, this doesn't belong as classed as a gothic book. This is ridiculous. It was ridiculous in the end. So I just felt completely underwhelmed by characters who were badly characterized, with an obvious mystery. And I feel like it was a bit of a waste of time to read. And sorry, it's how I feel. And to finally, just to tie this all up, in the back of the book, Stacey refers to that Ruby and her sister's backstory is actually a true life event. And she talks about the sisters, the real life sisters who have the same name, and what happened to them and everything. Now, that chapter where that got revealed was actually the most exciting part of the book. And that chapter is based on a true event. And it's like, and that chapter is nearly 400 pages into this book. So if the most exciting thing in this book is actually something that actually happened and is 400 pages into the book, that's not a good thing. It just felt, completely underwhelming, not well put together. I wasn't overly keen of any character, and it was all just a bit of a mess. So, yeah, and annoyingly, Laura Purcell is quoted on the back of this book, saying that how invigorating it was, and I didn't want it to end and such, but I did. I mean, it has some merit. It just, I wanted the gravitas. I wanted that better characterization that would have just hit so much harder, and the way in which she built the world just didn't sit right. You could literally see Mr. England was sat there like twirling his mustache going, ha 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 ha. That was the strongest characterization. It didn't work, and I was so relieved when I finished this book. So there we go. My first encounter with Stacey Halls, and it didn't go well, I'm afraid. So yeah, let's ask my questions. Would I read this again? No, I'm really not interested in reading this again. I'm actually quite surprised it got the Women's Prize for Fiction Futures by Good Housing, as noticed up here, which isn't a sticker, it's printed on, it's indented in and everything on such a beautiful cover as well. So is that. It's not a sticker. Yeah, would I read this again? No. Would I read any more of Stacey Halls? Now, I do have another one of her books, as I mentioned, and I think it's always fair to give someone a second chance, so I would say yes. But after that, if I'm still not impressed by her, I think it would be a no. Would I recommend this to anyone? I mean, I would tell them that there are better authors out there, better stories. But if somebody wants a light kind of period piece that for their holiday or something, then yeah, I might recommend this. But I would suggest other titles before I got to this one on my list of things for them to read. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on Mrs. England by Stacey Halls. If you've read this book, I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comments box below. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, entirely to like you decide. And now back and thoughts with my next read, which is The Distant Hours by Kate Morton. And as I said, I've got 2 weeks until the new Cormoran Strike book comes out, and I've got 2 reads after this one already announced, so I might possibly get another one of those in those 2 weeks, or you'll just have this and then I'll be going straight into the Cormoran Strike book. We'll next Cormoran Strike book, we'll just see. But yeah, that I will be back once I am ready to fall into the imagination of Kate Morton once more. So all right, guys, bye.